You're watching The Edward Fowler Show. Here's your host, Edward Fowler.
Good evening. Welcome to the show here on youtube.com/Edward Fowler. It is Monday. It is the 20th of July, 2026. And the summer of this channel is booming. We are booked up until the end of August. We do have lots of great guests in between now and August the 31st, I guess. But we are bringing you a brilliant person on the show this evening. I am just waiting for him to arrive. He's having some issues with Zoom. So as soon as my guest's alive, we will bring him onto the air. But just to let you know that, of course, we do have a lot of great clips out on my social media. You can find me on Facebook at Edward Fowler Show, on X_Edward Fowler_, and on Instagram, Edward Fowler Show. And I urge you to go to those platforms to check out some amazing clips, and hopefully you'll become a new follower if you just happen to come across my content today. And if you have, then also make sure to smash that subscribe button. We've got over 414 subscribers. Also, as well, we have been uploading all the episodes from my archive on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you may get your podcasts. And I have brought in episodes now from 2019 all the way to 2021. So you can now go back into my archive and you can watch Otto Wallin, you can watch Christopher Lovejoy, you can watch Eric Bischoff, you can listen to plenty of past episodes on the go, wherever you are. If you want to relive those classic episodes outside of YouTube, you can now do so. I am also in the works of getting 2022 and 2023 episodes uploaded to those platforms, and once that's announced, I will announce that to my social media accounts in the coming week or two. Hopefully by a week on Sunday we'll have those episodes up and running on the audio site, which you can listen to those fantastic episodes from the past. I'm just waiting still for my guest, and he's arrived right now. Actually, that's good timing by my guest. So now, without further ado, please welcome to the show. Enough of me of rambling on here for 7 minutes. Please welcome ring announcer, MC, whatever else you may go by, Jody Edwards. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Edward. Absolute pleasure to be on the show. And I'm looking forward to this. It should be a good amount of fun.
Yes, the only thing we will disagree on is that I can see you're wearing a Chelsea shirt. That's the only thing we will disagree about on this episode, because the greatest team is right here in Manchester, England. Good old Manchester United. That's the only thing we will disagree on. We've won more trophies than Chelsea. You know, you are a little league compared to Manchester United.
All I hear is excuses, and all I know that London is blue.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think London is actually red for Arsenal. Let's put it that way, because they are the Premier League champions at the moment.
Well, if that's the case, then Morgan Rogers definitely didn't get the memo, because he's joined us very nicely for a ridiculous amount, I will admit, but happy to have him. And you can say London is red all you want, but as far as I'm aware, I don't see the European trophies in Arsenal's trophy cabinet.
But either way, that's a very true point. But let's dabble forward into the reason why you're here this evening, shall we? I came across your content on social media, and I thought you'd be an interesting guest to have on the show. I could not reach out to you. I had to send a follow request to make contact with you. Luckily enough, you did accept my follow request, and actually, I think you actually DM'd me to begin with, and that was a perfect opportunity for me to then respond, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is correct.
Yes, that was good timing, because I was thinking, I wonder if you would accept my follow request, and then next thing you did, and you appeared in my DM. So it's great, because that was that's what my goal was, to get on the show, and it worked out. And then of course I reached out to you, and we of course I sent you some samples of past guests I've had on the show to give you a bit of a flavour of what this show is about. Did you get the chance to watch any of those?
I have had the chance of watching a couple. I've seen when you've had Ben the Ben Davis on here. I've seen some other ones as well, but Ben's the one that really sticks out to me because it's more like in my sort of area of work, if
Yes.
that makes sense.
No, absolutely, yeah, yeah. We you know, I do bring on a quite a range of different guests from different genres, and of course, having Ben the Davis on here was a superb thing to do in 2026. Of course, he came on the show a couple of years ago, and it was great to reunite with him recently. Another episode you should check out then as well is Charlie Goldberg, who's also in the same field as yourself in the sports world as well. So you'd be another good one to check out when you get the chance to. Again, he was a returning guest from a few years ago who appeared on there. I think it was last week or two. So I would urge you to watch that as well. But yeah, I'm glad you got a chance to watch it. I hope you enjoy what you saw, and hopefully I'll live up to the hype from what you saw on that episode this evening. But do tell my listeners and viewers what made you to get into, I guess, the world of sports as as a ring announcer slash MC.
Well, it's a very, very, very weird story, but
I'm
just
happy
to
for
give out,
you. I'm happy to go in depth.
yeah. I mean, just to take it a little bit further, like I grew up with the world of sport on my back the whole time, like it's a rucksack just attached to me. Like I grew up playing rugby. I loved watching football. And then boxing was just something that really captured my imagination from when I was about 10, 11, watching like the early Wembley fights. And then got to a point where, what if I could be part of this? What if I could be part of this world? And just chatting with one of my friends on Twitter, he had a boxing company at the time, and he basically said, "You've got the voice and you think you've got like a real good talent. Would you want to come and do an event for me in Brighton?" So I said, "Yeah, I'll give it a go." Didn't know what to expect, didn't know if I'd be any good. And that was back in 2022. So this was 4 years ago, bear in mind. Flashback to now, I've nearly done 20 events. I've gone up and down the country. I have loved every single second of what I do. And I've met some incredible people, friends, and now even I call them family because of how much they mean to me and how much they appreciate what I give to them. Because being a ring announcer isn't just calling people's names out, it's actually hyping them up for war. It's giving them passion, giving them drive, giving them focus, giving them like an energy that really separates them from anyone else across the ring. They have their own introduction, which means that's special to them. That's their focus and harness. So when they get in that ring, they're ready to go 4 rounds, 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 10, 12, however long it may be, just so that they could get on top. And the amount of thank you messages I've had just for them, it honestly just takes my breath away every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was just tagging you on Instagram and saying we are live, baby, as live can be. But yeah, no, what a great introduction to my viewers and listeners there, and you do have a very good voice for it, a very strong voice, and I
Thank
guess
you.
how do you I guess hype yourself for shows? Like how do you get your voice in the right zone so you can bring that energy for the audience to keep them engaged and keep them engaged for the whole evening? Because sometimes it can last 2 hours, it can last 4 hours, etc. So how do you keep your voice in good spirits?
I like to think that I like to keep my body in good spirits, so then it also keeps my voice in good spirits as well. So before I do an event, I do like vocal and physical warm-ups, do stretching, maybe a bit of jogging back and forth in like some training gear. Vocal warm-ups when you're in the suit, we're in front of a mirror, so then you keep them warm and ready to perform. It's just keeping the body ready. I just feel like that's the key, and it's what works with me. So then when I go out in front of how many people there are and announce how many fighters there are, I'm just ready for anything.
Yeah, absolutely, and as well, I guess depending on the type of organization you're working for as well, you have to do, I guess, a bit of prep on the fighters to make sure you have all the correct information. I guess sometimes if you can't get that before the event, then I'm guessing hours beforehand you're trying to chase up these fighters to make sure that you're pronouncing their name correctly and making sure that they don't want them to be announced in a certain way and making sure that the weight is correct. How is that like on show day as well?
That can be quite stressful at some points because obviously it's the fight game. Some pullouts might happen. Some little changes may come at the very last second when anyone least expects it. But you've just got to stay on the boil, man. Right? That's all I can say, man. Honestly, you just got to really keep a sharp edge to yourself. Like anything could happen at any specific point, let alone the ring. But you've always just got to be ready to announce anything that you are given from either the promoter, the fighters, or just anyone in general.
I like how you brought up about the ring. So I'm assuming that there's been some, I guess, issues or something's not going according to plan with the ring when you're about to go live, maybe? Am I on the right lines here?
Um, the rings are normally okay. It's just like sometimes there might be like technical issues, and then you wait for the production team to get it sorted. But it's no problem. They tried their best. They have a lot of responsibility to do. Like I'd say they have more responsibility than me because they want to keep a show running. They've got a lot of technology using. I don't use much technology myself, and I'm still relatively young, and I still wouldn't know a thing about that. So I give massive props to anyone who does any photography or digital work for any event.
Okay. Well, I mean, you do. Well, I mean, you are quite young, as you mentioned. I won't guess your age here live on the show, but you mentioned at the very start of this, you've been doing this since 2022. So, I guess for anybody who may be watching or listening is thinking, "Wow, I would love to do what you're doing." How did you get your foot in the door in the first place?
So again, going back to the story, I just took one event and it just massively blew up. Like I remember the event specifically had about 11,000 live viewers up in Brighton. Wasn't really much of a live crowd, but the fights didn't need that. And the fights were entertaining as hell for both the members of staff and also the crowd that did turn up. And that just then blew off from there. Had about three or four different companies, and I worked for 8 different white collar boxing promotions. And I obviously want to keep grabbing and grabbing and grabbing to see how many chances I can get. It's just been one hell of a roller coaster. And as soon as you get that foot in the door, you never want it to shut closed again. You really want to keep your foot, keep ajar and keep it slowly getting more further and further open every time.
Well, yeah, that's a very good point. But I mean, as the saying goes, at some point, everything comes to an end. Nothing lasts forever. I guess. I mean, again, you've been doing this for 4 years, so you know it better than anybody. But I guess, how did you approach promoters and promotions to get your foot in the door then? Did you just reach out on social media or did you attend in person and get your I guess your demo across to them, like this is what I can bring to your promotion type thing?
It's honestly a really good question, Edward. I'm glad you asked it. It's a mixture of both. Like if I meet a promoter in public, I will like take them to the side, just give them what I can bring to their show, how I can elevate it and be different to any ring announcers or MCs they've had in the past. If it's online, same again, but still showing a little bit of evidence from like past shows. See if they like what they see, pretty much, and see if that works.
Yeah, and it obviously is because you mentioned a minute ago you're booking now for 8 different promotions, and please now plug these promotions. Where can people catch you at, and what are your upcoming appearances? Where can people find you to check out your work in person?
Well, obviously, I've got to start with the ones that start it all, and that is massive shout out to Outcast Boxing. Outcast is actually doing tenth their tenth show this weekend, and I'm happy to be there in Manchester. And we've got the heavyweight title on the line, so it's going to be a very exciting night. I've been on DKM Rising Stars. The highlight with the Champions League of White Collar Boxing. I've also been on Gunman Fight Series. Gunman has been one of the kindest people in this industry to me, and he's given me one hell of an opportunity to be his man every single chapter so far. We've done 3 events, sold out all of them, made massive profit, massive views, and it's just blown the roof off. And we've had some incredible fighters on there. TDC, I've recently worked with as well, which is a company in Birmingham, Unleashed, who are just some of the best people I've ever met, who are really kind and caring. Speedstar is another one that I went to go and work, believe it or not, in Cardiff. So that was the first ever show I did outside of England, and I thought I'd get a very hostile reception being English. Cardiff people are lovely, absolutely lovely, and I did not know what I was worried about. Uh, and a couple more as well. But it has been absolute pleasure doing for these lot, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I would love to carry on with these lot again and again and again as I go on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure you will, and as you get your, as you say, your foot in the door at these organisations, and feeling more confident and more relaxed each time you perform for each of these promotions, and as they say, the word will speak for yourself, and you will get all the exciting opportunities outside of these promotions already, and take it to the next stage, becoming the next you in the future. You got all these fantastic ring announcers at the moment out there, and I guess it's quite a tough competition, with all these other fantastic ring announcers. So you got to find a way to separate yourself from those, and bring something new and different and unique to the table.
100%. Like I've always said it from day dot. This type of like market is just rare identity. You want to have a rare identification that's not like anyone else, any other ring announcer, which is why I like to keep what I do fresh, different, simple, have a bit of fun with the crowd, have a bit of a laugh, have a bit of a real good time, but obviously try and look as professional as you can. Try and get a real good sense of it coming across, because then you never know who's watching online or in a crowd, because you want to make sure you actually look like $1 million.
Absolutely, you do. And, I guess the person who has made it very hard for you guys to try and find something unique and different is Michael Buffer, because, of course, with that legendary, let's go, ready, 2, 1 more. It's so legendary that nobody else has really, so far, has come up with a better catchphrase than that one.
That's honestly a good point. There are some up there, like his brother as well, Bruce in the UFC with "It's Time." Like
Yeah.
that's iconic in itself.
But that's in the UFC. This is more the boxing, catchphrase.
That's
But if you want to talk about "It's time," then we can. But again, that's for a different sporting organisation. Unless you are wanting to dip your toes into the MMA world, then that's fair enough. Then yeah.
I mean, I've had many of my friends and many people online reaching out. Would you ever ring announce MMA? And the honest answer would be yes. I'm not a big MMA fan. I don't watch UFC back to back constantly.
No.
When there's like a big card, I'll turn up for it. But I do find the world of MMA just fascinating, and I'd love to give it a go. Love to see what an MMA crowd is like compared to a boxing crowd. I really would love to see that.
I think in the again, as you mentioned, good point to mention, by the way, that the MMA crowd. I feel like the MMA crowd is probably more into it than the boxing crowd. I've always known that they're more passionate and more into it, and have more chance than in the boxing world of things. But you can tell me that once you've done it, I guess. And also as well, would you ever do bare knuckle fighting? Because we do have a lot of bare knuckle fighters on the show who are, some of them are from the boxing world. They have a great career in the boxing, and then they come over to the bare knuckle world and have another fantastic career. So would you ever do bare knuckle fighting announcing as well, perhaps? Because it's very similar.
I would love the chance of bare knuckle, honestly. Like I feel like bare knuckles actually got a lot more popularity over the last couple of months as well. Like big names like James DeGale and Darren Till putting their hands into it, and they've really risen the stock. So yeah, I'd love to give bare knuckle a go. I think it'd be a real good time.
Yeah, or even in the BKB where we had a former boxer who fought Ricky Hatton a number of
Mm.
years ago. He main evented at the AO Arena back in May. What a fantastic fight was against a former, I think, a former UFC fighter who did get the upper hand and did win, which I thought he would because he's a Manchester United fan. And in Manchester, the Reds always come out on top. Despite having the blue opponent, who was a Manchester City supporter, supposedly, he got what he got because United are always on top in Manchester, UK. And you're coming, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, you're coming to Manchester this weekend.
I will be coming to Manchester this weekend. I cannot wait. It's going to be a great show, a great event, and I just hope for a real good crowd because they're going to be treated from start to finish with war after war after war, and then when they get to the main event, they get one more, and I cannot wait to just see what their minds are going to look like afterwards.
Whereabouts in Manchester is this event happening at? And give us the details. Let's hear it.
So it is on Saturday. It's on Saturday, the 25th of July. It is at the Reddish Men's Working Social Club, and we have got an incredible card, and it is finishing off, like I said, with our heavyweight championship. We have recently just made this belt, so it's brand spanking new. We have not got a champion, so bit of history is going to be made because we're going to crown an inaugural Outcast heavyweight champion.
I love it.
So it's going to be really good.
I love it because that's in the best city in the world, Manchester, UK, to do this. That's why Outcast. Is that why Outcast, the promotion?
Yep.
Perfect. I was
Yep.
listening. Is bringing the best fighters to the best city to crown the first ever champion. Only in Manchester you get that. You don't do that in London. You know why? Because Manchester is the best place to be. The new Prime Minister was the mayor of this fantastic city. Now he's the Prime Minister of the whole country. He's even now going to try and bring Donald Trump to Manchester. That's what's best for business. You may have your opinions about that, but it'd be interesting to see Donald Trump in Manchester after he called it a town, when actually it's not a town, and hopefully if he does come to Manchester, he will see that it's actually a city like New York.
Yeah, I'll agree with your point. I'll just say it's going to be interesting.
Yes.
That's all. I'll leave it on that.
Yes, usually I don't get very politically on this show, but I was intrigued when I saw a headline before. I thought, oh, okay, it'll be interesting to see him in Manchester, UK, if it happens. Hopefully it will. But yeah, hopefully that the fans will show up, will bring the energy, the excitement, and the atmosphere for Outcast here in Manchester to crown this new champion, and we can't wait to see that. And please do as well, plug them on social media, and if people can't be there in person, and hopefully they can be a way for them to witness this history online or somehow.
Yes, they can witness it online because it will go live directly on Outcast Boxing YouTube channel. So a live stream will immediately begin. It'll be a great night. So if you cannot make it for a ticket, you can just watch it online and get those numbers up. Because just to say,
Yes.
Edward, our last event, which was in Peterborough, got the most amount of views in Outcast history, and it was one hell of an event, and we had a great crowd.
What was the numbers, if you don't mind me asking? What was the... Is this in fan attendance or in online viewership?
Online viewership.
Okay.
Online viewership was really good. We had, I believe, just over 5,000 viewers.
Wow.
So it went really well.
Impressive. Yeah, well, hopefully Manchester can beat that. Let's get to 10,000 views this coming
Please.
Saturday night. Yes, it would be great. Because that would, again, say
Yes.
that Manchester is not just a place to be in person, but also online. But I do urge you people, if you are listening and watching this before, try to try fifth and you live locally to Manchester, UK, then I urge you to get a ticket today and check out the show and see Joey in action in person with his performance. His ring announcing, let us know what you think about his, I guess his catchphrase. Do you have a catchphrase of sorts? You know, how do you get them excited for the main bit of the show?
I mean, I just like keeping my energy up. I do have a catchphrase, but I always save it for the main event. I don't want to go too early with it. The main event is what everyone really pays to see. The creme de la creme, the very end. So I like to say, I check my watch. time is now. The time is right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time once again. It's fight night. And then it gets a little bit lower, higher as we go up until a very good crescendo. We're saying fight night, and the crowd loves it. And it's all like, it's probably my favorite bit of what I do.
I love it. I love it. And when did you discover that this was going to be the catchphrase for you? Because I'm guessing you had to, tease it and test it out at a number of shows to see what the fans what they reacted to. If they will react to this. So when did you realize that this is it? This is the catchphrase for me.
Believe it or not, I took a pause after the first ever event I did in Brighton that I told you about. I had about a year off. They then had Outcast call me back on their first ever show. Like, obviously, we want you to be the voice for it. So I just made a list of possible catchphrases I could use. The one that just stuck to me like that is the one I just said. And since then, it's just been my catchphrase from every single show. And I think it's becoming a lot more well known around our type of scene. Like, I've seen so many videos online where I can hear my voice in the background, and everyone loves it.
I love it. That's good. That is good, and that shows that people are connecting with it in person and also online now by clipping it up as well, and hope that continues for months and years to come as well. Do you have any, regrets? Do you wish you didn't take that year off and carried on with this and see where it may have took you in 4 years later or so?
Yeah. I probably would say I have the regret of taking that year off, because I felt like after that show that I did in Brighton, I was like, I don't know, is this for me? Is it not? Let me just take some time to think about this. Let me just stay with what I currently have. And then I'm at the point where I realize, what am I doing? Why did I take that year off? I could be a lot further than what I was now, but the road I've had so far would not change a single bit of it.
Fair enough, but as you mentioned, if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, then I'm sure you'd be like, no, I should stick this through. Let me give a few more shows before deciding if this is really for what I want to do or not. So I am glad that you kind of found a way back into it after a year off, and thought, actually, no, I do want to do this as a potential living as well, and hopefully you will get the opportunity to do so. And I guess, what are your goals and things you want to accomplish, to get to that next level where you would love the opportunity to build on?
I'm glad you asked this, because I was literally just thinking about this in my head. I would love, and this is a dream of mine, I'd love to be a ring announcer on DAZN, either for like the PFL MMA or bare knuckle, because bare knuckle's very highly advertised on there, or the very top, doing like international or UK boxing for some of the biggest promotions like Queensbury, Matchroom, Top Rank, Riyadh season. And Riyadh season would be absolutely incredible if I got to that point. But that's the goal. That's where I want to get at. I want to be a voice and a person that DAZN gets comfortable with, and you get comfortable yourself. If you turn DAZN on, you'll see me there announcing some of the best fighters in the world down to just go for a scrap and see who comes out on top.
Yeah, that would be, as they say on the streets, lit, as they say. So hopefully that dream of yours will come a reality at some point. Hopefully not too long before that happens. I'm guessing you have ways to reach out and get yourself, I guess, exposed to and be like, well, look at me as well, type thing, because at the moment they do bring in some ring announcers from across the pond, as we will put it that way, and maybe they could save some money by using like yourself, who is based here in the UK, to give an opportunity. You did miss one out though. You missed out Boxer as well. That's another good organization.
That is true. Boxer is a good one, and Boxer is one that I'd love to get on as well, because it feels a lot more UK friendly. Like, obviously the other ones are branching out more. They're trying to get shows across America, across Europe. Boxer's the one that has constantly just been single-handedly delivering good shows in England. So I'd love to get on them.
And another one I just mentioned about as well is Dana White's new boxing league. As I just forgot, Zuffa Boxing, I think it's called.
Yeah, Zappa. Yeah,
They do a lot of shows here in the UK too on Sky Sports at the moment.
yeah, that's another one that I'd love to get on as well. Especially because now it's kind of like changing the whole fight game as well. It's adding a little bit. It's adding more of a competition, more of like a fierce edge to UK boxing now. Because now there's talent that's been swooped up, taken by Dana White now. So it makes the whole land a lot more interesting, a lot more exciting.
Yeah, no, it does, doesn't it? It does indeed. And again, that's another great organisation because at the moment they use one of the UFC ring announcers who does the B shows. He's doing the shows for him at the moment. So maybe you can replace him. Hopefully, perhaps as well. That'd be cool to see. But some great organisations, and I'm glad that there's more boxing promotions out there in the big leagues and in the the lower league as well to help those fighters to get the exposure to get onto those bigger shows. So there's now a lot more, I guess, organisations out there because for years it's just been the as you mentioned the match rooms and the Queensberry and such. Now you got all these other ones coming through the door now. So it's great to see,
Yeah.
and hopefully that continues for years to come. It just shows you that people do love boxing and they will watch and show up in person. So there's great opportunities to get that exposure, especially now with social media and with these streaming platforms as well. So much potential from 4 years ago, where most of these streaming platforms didn't really exist or weren't as big as they are now.
That it does affect it really much. So it definitely promotes an event, whether it's a big time promotion or a small league promotion. It gets it out there, it gets in front of people's faces, and it makes more viewership and more interest for anything that anybody sees, which is really good for the promotions I named earlier as well, because it then builds them up, grows them up, and then more people view it and more people want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the main thing because as much as people like yourself and other fighters, start out at these lower leagues, and because their aim is always to get to that big league and that big step to see on a worldwide stage. But it does help these smaller promotions to maybe one day become that big promotion. So you don't have to leave and you can be there from the beginning and help it to get to the very best place it can possibly be as well. So that is another avenue to look at because sometimes people don't always look at it thinking I need to get that stage or that promotion. Well, if they stay where they are, they can help themselves and the promotion out to get to those big leagues themselves without having to leave.
It does help the promotions stay intact and also constantly work, constantly get better, and then start competing against the promotions that have been there for longer. And also if they have loyal fighters and loyal staff members or crew, and they go through the tough times and they build their way up and they keep progressing and getting better. As soon as they hit the promised land, they'll be very grateful that they made that journey in the first place.
Yeah. We're going to move focus a little bit away from the boxing just for a moment because I want to talk to you about this because you do send me, I'm guessing it's you. I could be wrong, so we'll find this out. I do get some messages from somebody, from some social media account called Football Madness 01. We're going to pop this on the screen for people on YouTube. So if you're not watching on YouTube and listening to this, then too bad for you. But we're going to show this right now. As you can see on your screen, Football Madness 01 is the username, and this is a social account, I guess, for you, isn't it, Joey?
It is, yes. Sorry. It is, yes. It's all right, no problem. It is my backup account. Well, not backup, but my football account because the first real sport I fell in love with before rugby, before boxing, it was football. I remember very distinctly there's pictures around my old house when I was younger of me in the smallest Chelsea kit you could probably ever see in your life. And believe it or not, I'm 6'6" now. I'm a tall dude. But when I was a baby, I had a Chelsea kit, and it was a memory that I don't remember myself, but the picture brings a lot of fondness and love and warmth to it because it was with my dad, it was with my family, and just watching football when I was younger just felt magical.
Well, I mean, on that then as well, did you were just, I guess, born into it as a Chelsea supporter, or because you saw your parents supporting them as well, or how did that start for you? If you know that.
I mean, my parents still are Chelsea fans as well, so it kind of feels like I was born into it, but also at the same time, I remember very distinctly, and this is something I can't believe I remember. There was like one day there was TV on, there was a match on. I see loads of blue players. For some reason, I'm just like, I'm very drawn to it. It was really cool. It was really amazing. And just since then, I've I've just loved it. I've loved it, and I'm Chelsea till I die. I will happily stay and say that forever. I will happily be Chelsea till I die.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What year? Do you remember? I guess what year it was when you first saw this, or thought, "Wow, this is a club for me," type thing.
I'd say round about 2002.
Okay.
So 2002. So this was before Chelsea had the massive like investment fund and Abramovich took over.
I
Um,
don't know about that. I think he did he take over in like 2001.
Either it's 2001 or 2002. It's one of those
I think
roughly.
it's 2001. I did see a documentary. I'm going to Google it right now. Yeah, you just keep talking about it, but let's have a look. Yeah, found them. Let's see. Oh, I do apologize. No, not apologizing because that was something else. I thought it said 2000, but I'm wrong. But let's just have a look. I'm just searching it as we speak. Let's see. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Do, 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 do. Oh, actually, it was 2003 he bought the club. So yeah, my apologies. You were close. I was close, but yeah,
Yeah,
2003. I thought it was 2001 for some reason, but yeah, 2003 is when he bought the
yeah.
club and invested all that money, as you mentioned, and he brought in the Tinkerman to do it to begin with, and he may have won it if he stuck with him a bit longer, but he didn't. He sacked him, and then you got the special one, didn't you?
Hmm.
After his performance with Porto, especially beating Manchester
Yeah.
United at Old Trafford as well, which we did not like after that. But yeah, and then he did help to bring success to Chelsea in those glory years, as you would say.
Yeah, like it was as soon as Abramovich took over, like there was so many glory years at Chelsea. I lost count, honestly. Like we won 5 league titles under his reign. We won our first ever Champions League. We won a Europa League back to back. We won the Super Cup. We won FA Cups galore, League Cups, and we played some amazing football. And we signed some amazing players. Like I cannot ever forget some of the players that we had back in the late 2000s. They're literally just like an ultimate dream team, like with the likes of Terry, Czech, Lampard, Ashley Cole. My favourite of all time, Drogba. Drogba will always be my favourite because he was just such a goal machine, and he hated Arsenal, and he kept scoring against Arsenal, which was the best thing ever. Um, and we've had some stinkers, but they've still done their part, and we still have stinkers now sometimes as well. But that's football. It can't work for everyone. That's the thing. It can never work for just every single person who comes through any club door.
Well, I just feel sorry, I guess, for all Chelsea supporters because I mean the rest of us having a good old time laughing at Chelsea because of these new owners who have bought the club because the government made your former owner to sell the club, really, and I don't think that was the right way to do it, but people have their own opinions about that. But since these new owners have come in, I don't feel like they know what they're doing because I mean you've had several managers now, just like prime ministers, over since they bought the club. I mean they must have about the same record as prime ministers. Don't last very long, but I will say this: you've had some interesting managers. Some of them I thought they were right for the job, and others not so much. And you know, they didn't last very long. But I mean, do you ever see under this new regime that they're going to start winning things again, like under Ronan back in the early 2000s?
Um, there's the groundworks to start building that back up again, but it will take time, and unfortunately, it will take a lot more time than what it did when Abramovich was in charge. Because I felt like he didn't just splash money for the sake of it; he splashed money for like smart investment for future. I think these like owners and investors just spend it on like trends that they think will get us over the line with actually like more deep dive analysis and to see what it could actually bring for the club in the future. So I think that's where we are just stuck on for now.
Well, I feel like because of course part of this ownership is that one of the owners is the co-owner of the I think the LA Angels in the baseball team, and it reminds me of having like a baseball team at Chelsea because you got like three different teams. You got an A team, a B team, and a C team. But like in baseball, you know, you got like three different teams. That's what it looks like at Chelsea. Like you got all these brilliant and wonderful players, but none of them can play with each other. You know, they're like individuals, and we've seen this before in a different league where a top team had all these fantastic players, but when you put them all together, they could not perform and didn't do very well at the very top. So, I mean, and again, you keep splashing out money at these fantastic players. I think Garnacho is on his way out of the door because I think you guys have seen that he's a flop. That's why we got rid of him last year to you, which we found quite hilarious. But at least you've now seen that and deciding to also get rid of him as well.
Please, can we not mention Garnacho in this call, please?
Fair enough, but you are getting rid of him. I always say that. I think I always say you are getting. Apparently, according to the rumours, he's out the door. Your new manager doesn't want to use him.
Yeah, that's the rumor that's circulated around there. Alonso's made it clear of who he wants to be in part of his plan and who he does not want to be part of his plan. And I feel like we need a bit of that, like ruthless, like intentness of like precision, because I feel like some managers just turn up, see what they can work with. They can't like they can't use their voice to say what exactly they want to do. I just feel like they're just trying to please the owners, just trying to use what they can, trying to pick up any dead bits, and then just see if it works. But it already feels a lot different with Alonso because the fact as well, like most of these lot that have come through the door have just had the title of coach, whereas Alonso has come in and he's been made manager, which means he's in charge and has a lot more say on who we buy and who we get rid of.
Yeah. Interesting comparison to Manchester United, where for years they were the manager, now they're called head coach. So, I mean, we are, I guess, making the mistakes you are in some senses in that way, and you're going back to the traditional way of things of that you are the manager, you're there to run the team. While at Man United, the higher ups are really in charge, and it's their way or the highway. I really found out with Ruben Amorim last November, but it turns out that they should have had him sooner because we may have won the Premier League if Michael Carrick came in sooner. But that's what the fans are saying about that. But before we let you go on this lovely conversation we're having about boxing and football, by the way, which again, as I did at the beginning of the show, the boxing side of thing, the boxing side of thing, yeah, we will agree on 100% because we all like boxing and we all like, the physical side of it. But with football, it's a bit more divisive. But I do mean the whole country, though, for 1 month was able to come together for the World Cup. And I do want to know about your thoughts about the World Cup. I mean, did you enjoy the World Cup? Do you think it was a bit too Americanized? Do you think that, the hydration breaks should be a thing of the past? Or do you think we should keep those and rename it maybe the drink breaks for the next tournament? And as well, did you think that England performed well? Because, I mean, I felt like when they played France, that was an excellent game. Why did they not play like that against Argentina? Because I think if we played like that against Argentina, I think they would have been in the final. However, I still think we would have got beat by Spain in that final.
Well, to touch on to your point about just the World Cup as a whole, before I dive into England, because we might be here all night. Um, Regarding the feel of the World Cup, to start off with, the whole setup of the tournament felt unwelcoming from America, from the point of view, seen as ticket prices were soaring, there was ice everywhere at the games. They were refusing teams to come in and all that. So that's that side, but I'm not going to touch onto it for too long. Football wise, it felt magical. The crowds that were in the stadiums felt they were just really passionate to be there. We had some incredible goals, incredible games, and that's what's the magic of the World Cup. As soon as you watch a game, it could be two countries that you might have never even heard of, but they could still put on a game that you could really enjoy and actually remember for many, many years. Regarding England, happy how far we've come. Disappointed we didn't play like how we did against France in the semi-final against Argentina. But then again, in that France game, there were still problems that I didn't like. The fact that we were 4-0 up and then we let them score again and again and again, and up to the point where they nearly were back level with us again. Thank God for Bellingham and Saka for the penalty and for the finish to kill off the game, but it should have never got to that. We were already 4-0 up and we let them back in. I agree with your point. We probably would have lost the final if we got in there with Spain because they're the best team in the world, and congrats to them for being world champions because they highly deserved it yesterday. But as a whole, would I ever have the World Cup in America again? No. Would I watch the World Cup again? Absolutely.
Interesting point. Because you mentioned about that, you would not want to see it in America again. But even if it's under a different leadership, because of course the next World Cup will be in the 2030s, where it could be going back to the US, because apparently that country, and I think it's South America, are the only two countries who can bid on it, because everywhere else in the world has had some type of competition from FIFA in their country over the last decade or so. Because I think we're hosting the Euros in 2 years' time with Ireland, I think. And then you got, I mean, somebody did say to me about Australia hosting it, but I don't think they are able to host it. I don't think they've got the capacity and I guess the infrastructure to host it. So it's likely to go back to America again in the late 30s. But Donald Trump will not be the president then, and the next president might be better. It might not be as controversial and it might be a lot better. But the ticket prices, however, will probably still go up even more than they are at this World Cup. That's the downside about it. But it might be a different leadership and it might not be as political as people may say. But if Donald Trump was still involved in the next 10 years, which is highly doubtful obviously, but if he was, would you still watch it in America if it went back there again? Because you said you would still watch it, so I'm assuming you would watch it again in America.
I would still watch it, but I wouldn't want to have the American culture so aggressively shoved into my face. Like, for example, like the halftime shows, the hydration breaks, the advertisements, because those hydration breaks in the UK, yes, we can see them having drinks, talking tactics, discussing with the manager. In America, it's just for advertisement. They just put adverts on for those whole things. And
Yeah.
I saw one game with an American broadcast,
Oh yeah.
and I got very frustrated every single time I saw an advert come up. And even at some points when the game had stopped for a player being injured or the ball's gone out, it suddenly pops up a little square again and shows another advertisement. It's just too much in your face. Like, if they downed it down a bit, that would make it a lot better. I'd still watch the World Cup though. To answer your question, yes, I would still watch it. If it was a new leader, or unfortunately, if it was still Trump, I would still watch it.
Okay, great. That's good to know. You mentioned a good point there about the American network, Fox, the number one TV channel in America for sports. And you're right. They do show a lot of commercials on Fox, and they had the rights. So out of interest, how did you? Were you over at one point and you saw this game on Fox, or how did you get to watch this? I'm intrigued because I would love to watch Fox over here.
Well, one of my I have a friend who lives in England, but he actually has bring all of his American uh, TV broadcasts over here, so he actually watches it. Not being disrespectful, because he still watches stuff with the English TV broadcast, but he likes feeling like he's still at home whilst being away from home.
Oh, it
But
makes sense. No, it makes sense. But I mean, most of the presenters on the Fox coverage are from here anyway. So it's pretty much a British, I guess, presenting and punditry team anyway. And, you get
yeah,
to have Zatan, you get to have Terry Wee, in the mix, and even Peter Crouch as well on the coverage for Fox. So I mean, Fox, they did deliver with the hosting and the punditry lineup they had. Obviously, it doesn't match what we get in this country of ITV with Roy Keane and Gary Neville and Ian White, and on the BBC with Joe Hart and Michael Richards, and of course Wayne Rooney, who did call out the halftime show as being absolutely crap, which I think he spoke for the majority of the people in the UK. But I mean, you had the Muppets, you had Justin Bieber and Shakira, and even Madonna, all there performing live yesterday. And of course, you had, Tiny Tom kicking it all off
yeah.
with that moving speech he gave at the beginning of the super of the World Cup. I almost said Super Bowl there for a second. That way it reminded me
Yeah,
of a Super Bowl. But yeah, the
I
World Cup
mean,
final.
yeah, I mean, well, before we get on to that, you just mentioned the Super Bowl. Most Americans still think that the Super Bowl is bigger than the World Cup anyway, though, which is the real frustrating thing, because the Super Bowl is around one country, whilst the World Cup is around every country. That's the frustrating thing, and they will still deny it to this day. On the pundits, I think the best one was Joe Hart. That's my opinion, because he was giving good passion for England. Like, he actually good facts with his fiction. He actually was making a lot of sense up with the mic. Regarding all like the big names that were performing, yeah, it's great to see them, and it is enjoyable. It just doesn't feel football, if you understand what I mean. Halftime shows have happened before, but it's normally like one big name that performs for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then we get back to the football. We were meant to have only like a 10-minute halftime show. It was half an hour.
Well, it was actually 27 minutes and I think 17 seconds. So that was the whole halftime show, so almost half an hour of it. And but at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, you did have not one, not two, but I think three or four big names. You had
Mm.
Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and Eminem all showing up, and that's still, by the way, one of the best halftime shows in recent years. Nothing's really topped it since that performance, and I think in 2022. So I mean, people, didn't like this halftime show last night for many reasons, which is understandable. Many people as well online did enjoy Joe Hart's his punditry work throughout the tournament as well. He's got a lot of plaudits, so I'm sure we'll be seeing him, and he might be in demand for other networks as well now after this World Cup. But one thing I did enjoy from him yesterday was when he, made a joke to Wayne Rooney about known as your golfing buddy, as we saw Donald Trump walking across the stadium. That was quite funny, and Wayne Rooney didn't have really much to come back on that one. But that was a classic line from Joe Hart this year. I think he was jealous of Wayne Rooney. I think he was jealous that he got to play with Donald Trump and that he did not. That's what I took
Yeah,
from that.
yeah. Honestly, fair enough. Yeah, it's just good to see a little bit of like showing that they're not just scripted the whole time. Like they
Yeah,
have a little bit of laughter, a bit of
personality
banter,
as well.
personality.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they're seen as human beings, not as just people who are just holding a mic talking about something that you're about to watch.
Exactly. And on this channel, I bring a lot of personality to this show, and I tried to get that out of my guests as well. So hopefully, my listeners and viewers got to hear that from Jody Edwards here this evening. And before we let you go, we want to give you the final thoughts, because on this show, I always ask my guests for their final thoughts on if they want to plug something or mention something which I've not brought up in this conversation, which you think is very important to get off your chest. The time is now to say. Otherwise, you'll be, I guess, we'll never get to hear it.
I appreciate your time. If just anyone who's followed me or given me support and love for the last 4 years for what I've been doing, or just anyone in general that I know who's currently watching this, thank you for the support. Anyone who I've inspired tonight or just watched in here with Edward, thank you again. I hope you've enjoyed us rambling on about different sports and maybe some political views as well. Edward, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And last bit I can easily say, tune in this Saturday, Outcast 010, live from Manchester, England, where we have our heavyweight title and we're going to have our first ever crowned king of the ring. So please get a ticket if you're around the area. Get to watch it if you can't make it live on the YouTube channel when it goes live. You do not want to miss it for a second because we're going to have madness in Manchester.
And if you're not down with that, then we've got 2 words for you. You can be squared, or 3 words. You can be squared here on this channel. That's what I say. But no, it's been a great conversation with you this evening. Because of course, when I made this live video link, I was telling the I guess the script of how to put this together. I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to discuss with him because I mean, I've only seen his social media content, so I thought this was going to be like a very quick 10-minute conversation, really. But here we are, an hour later, talking, and it's great. You know, we got good chemistry. And that's what I like to bring out, my guests, is try and get them to, you know, open up more and be more human, as you mentioned a few minutes ago about Joe Hart. So it's great that I can provide that, and I do hope that you will come back here on this channel, and hopefully I lived up to the expectations from what you saw of Ben Davis when he appeared on here a couple of months ago.
Yes, you lived up to the expectation massively, and thank you for having me on. Absolute pleasure being on with you, Edward, and thank you to everyone watching live as well.
Yeah, absolutely indeed. And as well, I've got to mention to you is I do hope that you can, you know, suggest people to come on this channel now from who you work with in the in your wonderful organizations you currently work for, including, of course, as you mentioned about this huge show right here in the best city in the world, Manchester, England, this Saturday night, as you just mentioned as well. So make sure you do mention that in your introductions, you know, on Saturday night, you know, make sure you do mention that this is the best city in the world because it is. It is. Unfortunately to say, it is. We bring the best energy, the most passionate fan base you'll ever see in the world is right here. If you think the Knicks fans were nuts when they won the championship for the first time in 53 years, they've not seen nothing like Manchester, UK. Trust me on that. So we do hope, and I don't think we actually did plug your social media. So please do plug that as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Edward. Please go and follow my Instagram page at Jody Edwards 2001. I do loads of coverage on sports, mostly boxing, where I do preview and reviews of every single big fight night that happens every Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes I double up. I will still be doubling up this weekend, despite I have an event, because I would love to still cover Errol Spence Jr. versus Tim Tszyu, and my favorite of all time, Anthony Joshua, is back against Christian Prenger.
Yeah, that should be a great night of action. Saturday night is fight night, so make sure you be there, or as we said a minute ago, you can be squared. You'll miss out on history being made right here in Manchester and around the world. With all these other fantastic organisations going on as well. It's been great having you on the show, and I do hope you'll come back on very soon. Again, this show was completely unscripted, unedited, and definitely not even my guest knew what I was going to say. It's fantastic, because even I don't know what I'm going to say after my first question. So that's what we like to do on this show. It's real as it can be. No pre-warning, no pre-prep, and my guest couldn't really prep himself because he came here a bit late because of his Zoom issues, and we were already live, as live can be. But until the next episode, which will be on Wednesday night with another broadcaster, actually, in the sporting world. We're bringing a lot of different sporting people on at the moment, I like. We will be live back on Wednesday night, same time, same place, at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and of course 11 a.m. on the West Coast. But if you enjoyed tonight's episode, make sure to smash the like button, share the video out, tell everybody about Jody Edwards and his amazing work as a ring announcer and MC, and make sure you check him out in person if you get the opportunity to do so. Leave a comment for any future questions you may have for Jody, and as well ways we can improve. Is there a way you want us to improve this show? Then let me know in the comments below. And as well, comment about any suggestion of guests you want to see on this show, and I'll try my best to bring them on as well. And if you like the content, if you're new around here and you came from Jody's channel or you just discovered us on YouTube through the algorithms, then make sure to smash the subscribe button. We've got over 414 subscribers. Help me to get to 420 today. And until then, until the next episode will be on Wednesday night, as I mentioned to you a minute ago, enjoy the rest of your Monday afternoon or evening.